in the big chair over there and make sure everything's all locked and ready to go. The podcast running, the YouTube page running. Producer Matt, you've got a lot to do.
Yeah, it's going good. The whole YouTube page is set up now. I'm about to call our man real quick, and then we'll get him on in just a second.
All right, you do that. You take care of what you got to take care of. We are on YouTube, so check us out there if you want to be able to watch the show for whatever reason. I'm wearing my Big X Sports Radio. Well, every Big X Sports Radio personality has a baseball team. I'm not sure if producer Matt does. Maybe we'll figure that out at some point today. Mine is the Boston Red Sox. So I'm wearing my Boston jersey. You can see that on the YouTube. I used to be a much bigger Red Sox fan in terms of like literally watching most games or listening to most games. And if I didn't, that was a bit of an outlier, at least part of it. Now it's like I may catch 2 games or 3 games a year. They're just not on TV all that often. And when they are on TV, I usually have other stuff going on. But they take on the New York Yankees tonight at 6 o'clock. We're going to have Derek Terry on from Batcat Central to talk MLB playoffs and also see what's been going on with the Batcats. So joining us now is Derek Terry. Derek Terry, what's up? How are you?
Doing well, TJ. How are you?
I'm doing great. I appreciate you taking the time. I know for baseball fanatics, this is the best time of the year. And your Cincinnati Reds, Derek Terry, they got into the postseason. It was hilarious following Cincinnati Reds Twitter for the last month and a half, the roller coaster ride that was social media, the highs and the lows for the Reds. But Derek Terry, they got into the playoffs. You have to be pretty pumped about that.
I am. You know, it's like a kind of historic collapse from the Mets there last couple months of the season. But, you know, I've endured through a lot, I would say, in my time as a Reds fan. And no matter how they get in, you kind of take it how it is. So looking forward to it. Pretty light first pitch, but at the same time, like I said, I mean, these occasions don't come around very often. So be just as excited nonetheless.
What is your game plan for staying up late? Just a late cup of coffee, maybe a little nap at some point today. It is a late one for the Reds out in Los Angeles taking on the Dodgers.
It is. I think I've already burned through the coffee. I've already had 2 today, so probably won't be adding any more. I think I'll be good to go. Not really a night owl, but at the same time, it's not like I'm in bed at 9:30 either, so I should be good to go. The adrenaline will be going. Probably the harder part, you know how it is, kind of, you know, some of those 9 p.m. tips for like UK basketball, and you kind of have a hard time going to sleep after. I think that might be the issue tonight. It's not staying awake. It's probably going to be falling asleep after the game, honestly, especially if they win.
That's a very underrated part of the late night games. It's not so much the game itself and when it finishes, but it's trying to wind down afterwards. After everything you just consume for 3 hours or longer in some instances, just trying to put that all aside and go to sleep. It's easier said than done more times than not. How do you feel about that pitching matchup tonight with Green on the bump for the Reds?
I feel really good about tonight. I mean, obviously Blake Snell's a great pitcher for the Dodgers, and, you know, I think the Reds against lefties, it's not always been pretty this season. I mean, the numbers in front of me, but just haven't watched a lot. Kind of anecdotally, it feels like it's a hard matchup, but I think Hunter Green really loved the storyline of him going back to Los Angeles, you know, where he's from, and having a chance to face the Dodgers in his first playoff game. Out of the series, you know, I think it's one good for the Reds that they're seeing the Dodgers in a 3-game series, because anything beyond that, I think, would be very difficult to win. But the fact that you got Green tonight, I mean, I feel pretty good. I really do. Like, I'm going into this game feeling pretty good. Although I did just talk to a buddy, and I was like, you know, as I think back on all the times the Reds have made the playoffs in my lifetime, really the only year that they weren't just totally embarrassing was 2012, which they ended up blowing a 2-0 lead. But 2010 had fall baseball practice, rushed home when they were playing the Phillies, and they got no hit by Roy Halladay. And then in 2020, you know, they had the series in the COVID year with the Braves where they didn't even score a run. And I know one of those games went into extra innings. So I guess just not embarrassing themselves tonight would maybe be a step forward the last few years. But I feel like the Reds got to win this one. That kind of goes without saying if they're going to have any shot in the series, because, you know, they're going with Zach Littell tomorrow, who's, you know, more or less kind of the 5th starter on this staff. And then in Game 3, it would probably set up a little bit better with Abbott, but you'd be facing Ohtani. So if they're going to have any shot, I think they definitely got to win this game tonight.
Yeah, not to bring up any terrible memories, and we're talking with Derek Terry from Batcat Central. Make sure you're following him on X at Derek S. Terry, and you're subscribed to BatCatCentral.com. Not to bring up any terrible memories, but was 2012, that was when they won 2 out in San Francisco and then lost, was it 3 straight in Cincinnati?
That's correct. I got to go to Game 5 for the only playoff game I've ever been to in any sport. I was in the outfield as well, so that Buster Posey grand slam was just a little off to my left. I can still see it in my mind's eye, spell it out of the stadium. So it was. They went out, played really well, actually, in San Francisco. And, yeah, let it get away. Scott Rowan here, Game 3. Still think about it sometimes.
Sports trauma is very real. I love that you can still just picture where the home run went out of 13 years ago. But the Reds are back, and I guess, is it any consolation for a lifelong Reds fan like yourself that it's just the bar is so low for success that nothing but maybe surprises, positive surprises in store at Dodger Stadium this week, and then hopefully get back to Cincinnati?
Yeah, no, I mean, I think that I don't think there's anything that could happen in any of these games that I was mentioning all the playoff stuff earlier. I forgot to mention the Johnny Cueto in Pittsburgh where he just dropped the ball on the mound. Do you remember that in the wild card game in 2013? It was great pitcher Johnny Cueto. One of my more beloved Reds, I would say, over the course of my life. So even against the Pirates, man, they were still at risk of an embarrassment. So. No, you're right. The bar is low. 83 wins. I was telling my other buddy, I was like, man, I think I've had 3 teams since 2021 with the Reds that I liked more than this team, watching them play. This was not one of my more favorite Reds teams, and yet somehow they're the ones that kind of back their way in to the playoffs.
Do you like these wild card series where the home team is the home team and it's only a best of 3 series, or would you prefer it more games, the underseed getting at least 1 home game? I know that would be a nightmare for travel, but Cincinnati will have to beat the Dodgers 2 out of 3 in Los Angeles to be able to continue its playoff life and get a playoff home game. But there's no guarantee that the Reds get a playoff home game.
Right. I do like it. I think that's a fair trade-off. If you're going to add more teams to the playoffs, I mean, the Reds with 83 wins, getting into the playoffs, I don't think it's really that unfair that you have to go on the road for a 3-game series. And I do think that a 3-game series makes it a little bit more doable for the underdog team on the road. I mean, it's not – you go over the course of, a 5-game series, too, with the Dodgers, I think their talent becomes, pretty overwhelming in that scenario. Whereas in a 3-game, I mean, man, I don't know. Anything could happen, especially if you get a really good performance from one of your starting pitchers and – you just put yourself in an elimination game where if you win, you advance. I do think it's a fair trade-off, and I know some people feel like it kind of cheapens the overall experience whenever you have teams that, I don't think I was alone in how I felt about this Reds team. I think it was a very frustrating year for a lot of people, and you can only imagine how Mets fans felt here down the stretch. So it's did anybody deserve to get that last wild card spot? I would say that it would be cool to have a playoff game in Cincinnati, but I think it's a pretty good trade that if you're going to get a playoff game, it's because you had to go on the road and earn it, essentially, within the playoffs.
Again, it's so fun watching Reds Twitter because it's game 162. It's win and you're in the playoffs, or the Mets lose and you're in the playoffs. It's a huge day. And every Reds fan on my timeline is going crazy because I guess the Reds didn't start 2 guys that the fans wanted Tito to start. I'm a casual when it comes to Cincinnati Reds baseball. That's why we bring in the expert with Derek Terry. But it just cracked me up. It's all right, here's the big day. This is what you've been waiting for. And then you see the starting lineup and everybody just starts to panic and freak out. And I guess maybe they were right because the Reds did lose that day, but luckily for them, the Mets were worse. And I bring up the format of this new MLB playoff since it expanded in 2022. It seems like there's just been a huge, and maybe this has always been the case in Major League Baseball playoff. I don't remember it as much since they've expanded. But in 2022, the Phillies made it to the World Series as the 6th seed. In 2023, 100 wins, Braves, Dodgers, and Orioles all were eliminated early in the playoffs. In 2024, the Giants upset the Brewers as a 6th seed, and the Yankees upset the Twins in the wild card round. So it just seems like there's been a little bit more chaos since they expanded. Maybe that's just natural. When you add more teams, you're going to get more craziness. But I think it bodes well for the Reds is what I'm getting at.
Well, I hope so. I hope it kind of keeps the trend going. I mean, like I said, I think this team, the pitching staff should give them a chance. I know the kind of popular, you see it with a lot of teams. I saw one of the Reds players talking about it, but it's like, I don't think anybody wants to see us. There's always that one team that's kind of not that great, but might have a couple of good aspects about it that you think could maybe cause a team to worry. And I do feel that way about the pitching staff. I mean, Hunter Green, when he's healthy and he's on, I mean, just last week, he threw a complete game shutout against the Cubs, a team that won 92 games. He's capable of going to Dodger Stadium and really giving this team a great chance to win. But they've been such a bad offensive team this season that it's going to be tough. You feel like you're going to have to win these really low-scoring games, and I don't feel as good about that tomorrow with Zach Littell pitching, versus Yamamoto. So if they can just take game one, TJ, that's what we're looking at. Win the night, see what happens after that. You can have your all-star on the mound for game 3 if necessary. So that'll make me feel pretty good as well. And actually, Ohtani's not been kind of cursed, actually, against the Reds when he pitches. I think he's been hurt twice. He got hurt when he played for the Angels. Second, Tommy John he was pitching against the Reds when he tore his UCL. And then he left the game earlier this year. I don't guess he was actually hurt, but he had to leave a start early, and he wasn't really throwing that great anyway. So he's really awesome against other teams. Maybe against the Reds, though, they somehow can find a way to muster up some offense against them.
I need Ohtani, game 3, winner advances versus the Reds. I need that on my timeline. It'd be super entertaining. All right, 2 quick things, and we'll get you out of here, Derek. We know your time is valuable. The other wild card series, my Boston Red Sox against the New York Yankees. That's the biggest rivalry in baseball. Cleveland versus Detroit, and then Chicago hosting San Diego at Wrigley Field. Which one of those 3 series do you think is prime for the biggest upset, or just a couple little notes that stick out to you about those other series?
Well, I think the one I'm most excited about is Padres-Cubs. Really like that Padres team. They are having to go on the road to Wrigley to face a good team. But I kind of like their chances. The Padres as good as anybody's in the National League. They clearly went all in at the deadline. They have great players, great pitching staff. I kind of like the Padres to go in there and upset the Cubs. I guess it is an upset. I think the Cubs are favored today. You mentioned the Yankees and Red Sox. That's some just obvious historical, two very bitter fan bases that do not like each other. A lot of history between them. Within our lifetime, TJ, Red Sox have been the better organization. 4 World Series to win. I don't feel very optimistic, though, for the Red Sox this go-around. I think the Yankees will win that series. And then the Tigers and Guardians, that's an interesting one just because of the free fall. The Tigers, blew a 15.5-game lead in that division. Guardians ended up getting in there, but I still kind of like the Tigers, though. I think they stabilized a little bit here at the end, even though it's in Cleveland. I believe it's in Cleveland. Yeah, it's in Cleveland. You still have Scooble on the mound today. This game's about to start, actually, right? Yeah,
Yes.
Here in about 40 minutes. So, like the Tigers there. And then going back to the Reds, got to go with the Dodgers in that series. Out of all the series, I think the Dodgers are probably the heaviest favorites to advance. So, yeah, I'm going to go Padres, Yankees, Tigers, and Dodgers in this wild card round.
Padres, that's some pretty good juice there, but interesting stuff from Derek Terry, and always great stuff over at BatCatCentral.com. If you are a UK baseball fan, if you get super excited when spring rolls around and basketball season comes to a close because then it's time for some baseball, you have to subscribe to BatCat Central. It's free to sign up and get logged in and be a part of the email chains that I see every morning. Right now, Derek Terry is doing a returning player spotlight. He's got Will Marcy up there right now, up on the main page of BatCatCentral.com. He's going to the fall ball scrimmages, so if you want to know what's been going on in September with the baseball team, getting ready for a very anticipated spring season for Nick Mingione and a UK baseball team that will certainly find themselves, I think, in the top 20 to start the year. Derek Terry has you covered year-round, 24/7, 365. Make sure you're subscribed to BatCatCentral.com. Anything super newsworthy from the fall that I've missed?
There was an injury a little prior. He was a transfer. I don't know how many people would have known about him if they'd not been keeping up this summer, but he's out for the year. The big thing is fall. You want to keep guys healthy, and they lost a couple pitchers last year that I think were going to play pretty big roles, so that's something to watch. But I went out there Sunday. I'll tell you one name to remember, a guy I like a lot, Scott Campbell. He's a transfer from USC Upstate, an outfielder. He had 388 last year, but, it was the Big South. That's usually an offensive league that guys put up a lot of big numbers. But he really almost hit for the cycle in the first scrimmage on Wednesday. And when I was there Sunday, he had multiple balls hit over 100 miles per hour. He just really looks the part. I think this is a guy that is going to be an upgrade for them in the outfield. And that's kind of the one guy that really caught my eye. And, of course, the returnees, you got Tyler Bell and then the pitching staff with Ben Cleaver and Nate Harris. There's, like you mentioned, there's a lot to like. That was a really good plug, by the way. I appreciated that.
Well, I appreciate your coverage of UK baseball. It's something you are, when I think of UK baseball, I think of Derek Terry. You cover it better than anybody else does. So I know there are a bunch of UK baseball fans out there that just feel like if the coverage was out there, I'd keep up with it. Well, Derek Terry is the coverage. He is keeping you up with it throughout the year. So thank you for your coverage. Thank you for coming on Kentucky Roll Call, Derek Terry. Nick Roush is no longer with Kentucky Roll Call, unfortunately. I miss him greatly, but today is his birthday. I told him that I was going to rank my favorite former coworkers, top 5 power rankings. And Derek Terry, Nick Roush isn't going to like where you're ranked because it's going to be above him. We used to work together at Cats Illustrated back in the day. Derek, you're great at writing. You're great at what you do. And best of luck to your Cincinnati Reds in this 3-game series.
I really appreciate that. Yeah, I don't know if Roush was listening. I sent him a text earlier telling him happy birthday, but a big shout-out to him. Good guy. So bad he's having to endure through this football season, but, hey, it's not the first time, huh? There's been some other bad years.
He's been there before, as have you. He'll survive. He'll be all right. But thank you so much, Derek. Have a great Tuesday. Good luck to your Reds, and we'll talk to you down the road.
All right, thanks, TJ. Have a good one.
All right, Derek Terry, Batcat Central. All you got to do is go to batcatcentral.com and subscribe. Free to sign up. You'll get emails, and you'll be a more informed UK baseball fan when you do that. All right, well, I wanted to talk baseball at some point today. I know nobody listening to Kentucky Roll Call says, TJ Walker's my go-to source for baseball news. So I had to get somebody on that is a go-to source for baseball news. So that was one, Derek Terry. So I think, producer Matt, what we're going to what producer Matt has to say about that baseball segment from one Derek Terry on social media. Make sure you're following Derek S. Terry. So, producer Matt, I think that's what we're going to do. We're going to take an early commercial break here, reset the show a bit, and come back and get into more Kentucky Roll Call on Big X Sports Radio. I'm TJ Walker. We're back after this.
Center field, way back there. Meadows looks up. It's off the top of the wall. Here comes Gonzalez around third. He will score. Say hello to October. Sadon walks it off.
Welcome back. Kentucky Roll Call, getting you ready for some October baseball on the last day of September. TJ Walker joined with producer Matt Childress. Get your text into the Game Day Men's Health text line. 502-414-1450, 502-414-1450. I have these numbers wrong, but producer Matt, we're getting to know each other still. Are you a big baseball fan? Do you like baseball?
So I wasn't growing up, but in the past couple of years, I've enjoyed baseball more and more. So I would say I am about as casual a Reds fan as probably you are at the moment. Growing.
You're as casual as a Reds fan?
Of a Reds fan, yes.
Okay, gotcha.
Like I haven't been a big baseball fan for my whole life, but in the past couple of years, it's grown on me.
I believe in that highlight you played, were the Red Sox wearing their green jerseys in that video?
Yes, they were.
All right, those are their City Connect jerseys, and when they released them, Boston fans mixed reviews as you would expect with a different type of jersey. The Red Sox colors are navy and red. Why would they wear green? Well, they've got the green monster. But sometimes they wear green. Sometimes they wear yellow. Teams wear different colors. When you play 162 games, why not? The Red Sox, I think, won 6 or 7 games in their City Connect jerseys. They went like 6-3, I think. But all of those walk-off wins, all of the wins were walk-off wins. All of them. Every win that they had in the City Connect jerseys this year that resulted in a win, which weren't all of them. They did lose in those jerseys. But the times they did win, it was a walk-off win. Kind of crazy. Crazy to think about.
Do you like that or do you not like that? Like, do you like that, yeah, you're getting the wins, but every one in these jerseys, it's going to come down to the wire?
A win's a win.
A win is a win.
A win's a win. As long as they have a winning record, I think that's what would matter most to me for those jerseys. But maybe some magic in those green Red Sox jerseys that I cannot anticipate them wearing tonight. I think it'd probably be traditional on the road against New York. And I do like that you get for the next possibly 3 days, but at least the next 2, today and tomorrow, you just get baseball all day. It's starting at 1 o'clock, and it'll be going until after midnight with that Reds-Dodgers game. So if you're a baseball freak, this is your March Madness. It doesn't get much better than this. From 1 to midnight, you're gonna be getting 1 to midnight when you got baseball on the TV all day. So that's exciting. It does get started with Detroit traveling to Cleveland at 1 o'clock today. 3 of those games on ESPN. Padres Cubs at 3 o'clock is on ABC at Wrigley. And it is pretty, you really can't get too much better than this in an MLB playoff series. But today, if you're watching baseball, you're going to see games at Wrigley Field, one of the most iconic stadiums. Dodger Stadium, one of the most iconic baseball stadiums. Yankee Stadium, that is certainly, old Yankee Stadium was better, but new Yankee Stadium, still iconic. And then, producer Matt, you get good old-fashioned Progressive Field in Cleveland, Ohio. That one's one of these things is not like the other. One of these things does not belong. It would unfortunately be Progressive Field, which is a great stadium for what it's worth. I have been to a couple or maybe even 3 games for back when they were the Indians, and I would say very nice things about that. However, not the same prestige as some of the other places there.
That's the thing about baseball stadiums is this actually begs a good question. I feel like a lot of real big baseball fans prefer the older stadiums. Would you rather keep those old stadiums and possibly renovate them, or are you for the whole, I know the NFL is really just like, hey, let's just tear down our stadiums, build new ones. Are you for that in baseball, or would you rather just renovate all the older ones?
Gotta have character. Gotta renovate the older ones. And did you know that the Red Sox nearly replaced Fenway Park in the 90s and early 2000s?
I did not know that.
We've talked about this on Roll Call probably a year or 2 ago, but the talk started in the 60s or 70s, but in the 90s there was this big push for a new modern stadium. Fenway was run down. It was a dump. The seats were too small as Americans were getting bigger, and they talked about a new 45,000-seat stadium that was going to be very similar to Fenway, but it was just going to be a new building. and eventually it was going to replace Fenway entirely. Old stadium demolished, a new one that looked a lot like the old one built in its place. But luckily, the preservationists won out, producer Matt.
I guess the one that I always think about is the Candlestick. Like, that place was, like, literally falling apart before they demolished it. And it's one of those that, like, one, how do you let it get to that far? Two, where's the line cut off where it's like, okay, maybe we can't preserve this old stadium anymore. We're going to have to build something new.
It's just there was this difference in architecture and what Americans preferred. But when stadiums were built in, like, really maybe all time up until, like, the 90s, the 80s potentially, but especially stadiums built in the 50s and the 60s and 70s, it's interesting, producer Matt, because when you go into some of those old, whether it be a football stadium or a baseball stadium, and think of Synergy Field. Did you ever go to Synergy Field?
No.
Okay. It's like when you got to your seat, they wanted you just to know that you are in a mecca of a stadium and the outside world doesn't exist. You're in this stadium. Like, think of the Roman Colosseum, I guess, was probably the inspiration. And now, and understandably so, now it's, we want this to be a pleasurable viewing experience, whether you're in it for the game, whether you're in it just to have an experience, whether maybe you're coming to our stadium because it has a beautiful view of a river or of an ocean or of a mountain. Now you don't want to be reminded that you're in a stadium, but back in the day, you couldn't escape the fact that you were in this huge, huge building. Now it's like, I don't want you to be reminded that you're going to a baseball game. I want you to be reminded that you're going to a park and there happens to be baseball being played down on the field. It was this big switch. And I don't know. Like, Candlestick Park did look like a dump. And it didn't really have a bunch of character necessarily on the outside, in my opinion. But AT&T Park, is it even called they changed the name so much. But the Giants baseball stadium, Oracle Park now. Okay, Oracle Park. That's one of the best baseball stadiums I've ever been in. That thing is incredible. But it's because you have this beautiful view. You're right on the bay. Even if you don't have a view of the bay, you have another beautiful view, usually of the city. Pittsburgh Stadium, the Pirate Stadium, that place is gorgeous.
I haven't been to a lot, but that's the nicest one I've been to. PNC.
That one's awesome. I mean, you could go to all of them, and that would still be near the top of your list.
My friends always say they want to go to Busch, like St. Louis. I've never been to that one either.
That one's nice. That one's got really cool views. That's a good one that is new, that they did a really good job with. So it just depends. If it's an old dump and it doesn't have much character, then yeah, you probably do need to get rid of it and build something that can withstand the test of time better. But if it's got, I don't know. I don't know the details of old Yankee Stadium, but I was pretty surprised when they tore that down. It's like, think of all the amazing players that played here, and y'all are just getting rid of this? But the new Yankee Stadium is incredible, too. So there's talking a little baseball for you. Get your text into the Game Day Men's Health text line if you'd like to talk about it. But I am happy that the Reds fans have something to keep them occupied. Even if they all gave up, even if they all whined and moaned and groaned about it, I'm happy that they have a little something. Are you a big enough Reds fan that you're going to stay up for the game tonight?
Yes.
Okay, wow. All right. That's a late night.
Like I said, I got into it a couple years ago. I fully committed this year. I actually got the FanDuel Sports Network to keep up with all the games. I think I watched like 73 games, 70 to 76 games, something like that this year. And I had never felt so much burnout in my life halfway through a sports season. So I got back into it again like a month ago. And I got to a point where every single game I watched, they lost. So I stopped watching it for the sole fact of like, okay, if they make the playoffs, I'll turn it on again. And here we are.
I kind of forgot the Ryder Cup was happening on Sunday just because I had reserved myself to the American defeat, which ultimately did end up happening. And like I told you yesterday, I was just watching football on the plane all day Sunday. And on Red Zone, they don't put on the bottom line. They only do football scores. They don't do anything else going on in the world. It's only football, which I can respect and appreciate to a certain degree. But I'd forgotten that the Ryder Cup was going on. and didn't even care about it because I didn't just want to watch America get pounded again for the third straight day. So I didn't watch it. And then my group message, they were blowing up about like, is there a chance we can do this? Like, what the hell's going on? This is crazy. Blah, 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 blah. So it wasn't like after catching up on the thread of the group message, I flipped over my TV, which was my phone, in the airplane to the Ryder Cup, and it was the clinching putt for Team Europe. Like, that's what I saw. I clicked it over. The first thing I see is just that putt go in, and they all start celebrating and going crazy. And I was like, oh, well, I'm glad I wasted the time to flip on over. So I can relate to kind of bad luck when you're flipping into it. And speaking of the Ryder Cup, we didn't really get into that much yesterday, producer Matt, did we?
No, not a lot.
All right, we will. Let's kind of finish up the baseball conversation here because Wildcat's tongue, we love Wildcat's tongue from We're Up to No Good. He texted in, says, WT here. Matt Sack, who is a White Sox fan, is wearing a Dodgers jersey today because his fiance is a Dodgers fan. Is this acceptable behavior of a dedicated, put in parentheses, or quotations, I should say, excuse me. Is this the behavior of a dedicated sports fan? Producer Matt, what do you think?
The White Sox aren't in the playoffs. Like, your wife's a Dodgers fan. You're going to be watching the game. That's fine. To me, that's fine.
I think WT and Sack and Rupp to No Good crew, I think that was like the first tweet that I saw today. It was like one of the first things. I tweeted a happy birthday to Nick Roush, which, again, happy birthday to Nick Roush. You're dead to us, of course, but happy birthday all the same. That was one of the first things I saw was Matt Sack just tweeting a picture of the Dodgers jersey, which I can respect the troll. I really can. Reds fans are super excited for today. Matt Sack is he's well liked in the UK Reds community, and then he just went out with a haymaker before 9 a.m. this morning. I can respect it. He's getting blown up in the comments, and he's just trolling. He doesn't really care about the Dodgers, and I have a hard time believing that his fiance cares about the Dodgers at all. But I respect a good troll game. It got Reds fans all worked up. So good for you, Matt Sack. He's not a real Dodgers fan. He's just getting people riled up. What do you think the cheapest ticket for baseball today is? You wanted to rank them for me, 1 through 4, producer Matt.
I'm actually going to say the Reds Dodgers is probably the cheapest.
That's the second cheapest.
Okay.
So not a bad guess.
Can you list some of the other wild card? Like, I know the teams, but I don't know. I can't remember who's all
we
playing.
get started today in about 20 minutes. Tigers at Guardians. Detroit at Cleveland. 3 o'clock, San Diego Padres at the Cubs. Then tonight, Red Sox Yankees, and then Reds Dodgers, the last one at 9 o'clock.
Okay, Guardians and Detroit's going to be the cheapest.
That is $31 to get in.
And then
it's $10 cheaper than Reds Dodgers.
So that one, then Reds Dodgers, then Cubs Padres.
Yes, that's $42.
And then Yankees Red Sox.
All right, so you get Tigers Guardians, Padre Cubs, Reds Dodgers. You can go see playoff baseball anywhere between $31 and $42 between those 3 games. Red Sox Yankees is most expensive. Well done, producer Matt. $93 to get it into that one. So double the price of the second most expensive game, which you probably would expect. But I'll say this. Padres Cubs for $42 in Wrigley Field for playoff baseball in Chicago.
That's not bad.
That's shocking. Yeah.
If anything, if you're a Dodgers fan, you're loving that you drew the Reds because you know the tickets are going to be cheaper.
True. That's true.
Like, how many people in L.A. out there can say they're going to go see a playoff Dodgers game for $30?
That's a good point, too. Yeah. It doesn't probably happen all that frequently. And then the biggest upset today would be the Reds winning in Los Angeles. They are plus 175 there on the money line. All right, let's just briefly talk baseball here for a moment. Or not, excuse me, we've talked baseball for well past a moment. Let's talk Ryder Cup for a second. I flip it over for 2 seconds on Sunday. I see the game clinching putt. I go straight back to football to watch more punts. I'm getting all my words mixed up today. And so that was all that I watched on Sunday. The bigger storyline isn't necessarily the golf itself, producer Matt. It's the behavior of the fans, and it's the smack talking back and forth, and people being mean to Rory and throwing a drink at his wife and stuff like that. How much of the Ryder Cup did you consume? Do you care about any of this? Is this good or bad for golf?
One, it's bad. The throwing drinks at Rory's wife, that's bad for golf. The Ryder Cup, you know that fans are going to be heckling you. You know it's going to be crazy. Two, you put it in New York City. Like, no offense to New York City, but throughout the history of sports, they tend to be some of the more aggressive sports fans in the country. So, like, especially when you're going up against a, USA versus a Europe kind of thing, like, I kind of felt like something like this was going to happen no matter what. Two, I consumed quite a bit of the Ryder Cup, and I love the Ryder Cup. I think it's a lot of fun when the USA is actually putting in effort. Like, Sunday was electric. Every other day was, not very fun to watch.
Yeah, the Ryder Cup's one of my favorite things. And the fact that the United States was so terrible on Friday and Saturday, which I did watch a great deal of, was so disappointing. There was a part of me that was like, you're getting beaten down so badly that, like, almost I would prefer this than just a 3 or 4 point loss. Because at least now I can just be done with it and just move on and act like this weekend didn't necessarily happen, and I'll check back in on the Ryder Cup in 2 years. But then it really probably ended up just being the worst case scenario where they get smacked down, but then a huge rally on Sunday to make it interesting enough where you can get mad about those things on Friday and Saturday again. And you can get mad really about all of it. The Hovland neck injury that resulted in a half point for both teams, that's got to change. And I saw some European commentators saying, well, in 1991, the United States benefited from this rule and nobody said boo. All right, I promise you, if I wasn't 6 months old, I would have said boo. And I would have said, this is dumb. Even though it benefited the Americans, let's change this. If you can't play in your match, that sucks. That's really, really unfortunate.
I mean, like,
you're not getting a half point for not doing anything, though. I'm sorry. You're not getting a half point for just sticking, you're just not getting a half point for not doing anything.
Yeah, I mean, I said it yesterday on this show that, like, I can't believe that's still a rule. You can complain about it all you want, that somebody benefited from it, whatever. It makes no sense that you get to just, if, he's hurt, that sucks, but you shouldn't get the benefit from an injury. I get that both teams get a half a point, but if you just scratch those golfers and they don't count, like their round doesn't count, then the Shane Lowry putt to win that hole to high doesn't end it, and it comes down to the last two matchups. Then you have golf until the end of the day. Mm-hmm. But because Victor Hovland goes down with a neck injury, you ended at what was it, 6 p.m.?
Yeah, it was around that.
And then you have two matches that don't matter anymore. Now, do I want it to come down to Collin Morikawa? No, I don't. But, it sucks that you lose because Victor Hovland didn't play. Yeah. After seeing them come back.
Yeah, it's a terrible rule. I can't believe anybody would be. I can't believe anybody would defend it otherwise. And I haven't really seen anybody, just besides some goober Europeans, say like, "Well, you've benefit from it too, mate." Right on, chap. Well, we don't care. It's a dumb rule. If you can't play in your match, you're not getting a half a point for having a hurt neck, or your toenail hurts, or your fingernail hurts. One way to fix this. Well, it's not fair. You can't help what happens, and you shouldn't get a win just because the other player can't compete. Well, maybe not everybody plays then. Maybe all but one play. And, it would kind of hurt your feelings, though, if you were the one person not picked to play. But maybe that's the injury buffer where, all right, how many matches is it on Sunday? Is it 12 or 14 or however many players are on the team? But everybody gets paired up against each other. Well, maybe in the future, all but one. And that way, if there's an injury, you can put them in that spot, and the other team can just put their worst golfer there that doesn't have to go out there and play, and bada boom, bada bing. There gives you a little wiggle room there. I don't know. That's a suggestion. Or just don't get hurt. Don't get hurt. Or if you do get hurt, go out there and give it your all for your country. And maybe it results in a loss, but guess what? If you wouldn't have gone out there and played, and you would have forfeited, you know what that would have been? Not a half a point. That's how you know Europe's too involved with the rule making if they're just cool with ties.
It's the European way. The one thing that, like, outside of losing the Ryder Cup that upset me the most was that, gosh, Scoots had been given such hate to Justin Thomas the whole time for making this team. And after seeing what I saw Sunday, yes, he wanted him off this team so badly. Like, he said that he sucked. He hasn't shown that he's worth on this team. And I was like, but Colin Morikawa has. After Sunday, I was like, I wanted them to come back and win so bad so I could give the biggest suck at Scoots on the planet. And we lose because Victor Hovland, so I can't do it.
That sounds like a Scoots take, just being pretty much pro-Europe. Justin Thomas, like, I don't know how many more tournaments that dude's going to go win, especially majors. He may get one, and he may get a couple tournament wins here and there. But he is very steady in the Ryder Cup, and he's kind of built for that format. He may only have like 2 more in him, but he's a veteran, he's seasoned, and he really handled himself pretty well over the weekend. Cameron Young was good as well. But suck it, Scoots.
I'm just tired of the player captains for the U.S. Like, I'm sick of it. Like Keegan Bradley should have played.
Yes.
Especially over Colin.
Yes.
Like,
I said as much. He was scared.
It doesn't make any sense because, like, you want your best players out there, the dudes who play the most, and Keegan Bradley is just like a Justin Thomas who, like, this is where he comes alive. So, I get having a dude like that as captain is good. But, I mean, like, could we not give somebody, like, I know he didn't have the greatest legacy in it. Could we not give somebody like Tiger a call? I mean, like, the dude's going to come out there and fired up. He didn't play the greatest in the Ryder Cup, but he's a competitor.
Yeah, Keegan, he came out and said that, like, I messed up on the course setup. He said that he messed up on having the rough cut. He wouldn't have done that. And he just would have made the course a little bit more difficult. But as it stood, there wasn't really much of a penalty for missing the fairway. So it allowed the Europeans just to get in decent spots on the green, and then it allowed them to win the putting contest. So if he could go back, he would have made the rough gnarlier. That way, more misses at the green. That way, you're chipping onto the green and not giving these Europeans these ridiculous putts to hold. I hate that it's always hindsight with my teams. It's Mark Stoop coming back. Yeah, I wish we would have done this, or we're going to keep getting back to work and executing. I just need a win, producer Matt, and then you got my Green Bay Packers tying the Dallas Cowboys.
That's why I figured you'd love this rule.
No, I hate it. That being said, I'm okay with ties in the NFL. I mentioned that yesterday. I don't want to go to a field goal off or a 2-point conversion off. You just need to make the overtime period as long as a regular quarter. Why are we shorting overtime periods 5 minutes? For what reason?
So what we're hearing is T.J. Walker is a kissing your sister sympathizer.
Maybe if my sister was Roush's sister, but no, not a sister kisser. Not here. Out on ties, but at some point in a football game, you don't need to change the objective of the game just to dictate a winner. But we can save that conversation for another day. The last thing on the Ryder Cup, the emotion from the fans. Was it too much, producer Matt?
No.
You had said that the drink thrown at Rory's wife was too much, but besides that, you're okay with everything else.
The banter and everything, yes. Like when he told the dude to shut the F up for yelling at him, come on, Rory.
That's Rory, that's why I just can't stand that dude.
We're in the Ryder Cup.
And he reminds me of a certain politician in this state that I'm not a fan of. The people that have been listening to me long enough, they can figure out who I'm talking about. But if you don't, it's not that big of a deal. But I just hate people that talk out of one side of their mouth and then talk out the other. And it's a totally different message. Where Rory, when he's at that press conference and he's like, this isn't good for golf. Golf needs to be inclusive, and it needs to be fun, and it needs to be about growing the game. I'm sitting there listening to that, producer Matt, and it's hard not to shake your head to it. Like, yeah, let's let maturity win out. That's what golf is about. It does teach great life lessons. And integrity is a big part of that game, and it's taught to you when you're learning to play it. Like, I hear him say that stuff, and it's like, yeah, that makes sense. And then on the other hand, you see a clip of him telling fans, F you, F you, F you, F you. You see him flipping the bird to people. You see him antagonizing fans by putting the European flag over Bryson DeChambeau's name. Like, you bring it upon yourself, Rory. You just do. And then you are the first one. I just don't like people being mean to me, and I don't like them saying the mean words. And then on the flip side, F you, F you, F you. The drink was too far, and I feel like that stinks. And it wasn't like a guy just took his drink and saw Rory or saw his wife and just tried to chuck it from point blank range. The guy whose drink it was seemingly had no intent of that drink going anywhere out of his hands. And it was just some other goober who smacks it. And I do think the intent was to smack the drink in that area. So ultimately, yeah, that's not good. That person should be in trouble. But it wasn't like target practice, like, all right, wait, and throw. It was more of like a chaotic scene. Somebody just took it too far, being silly, not knowing even where that drink was going to end up, but they probably knew that it was going to end up in that direction. But Rory is just a hypocrite. And I'm never rooting for that dude. I never have, and I never will. He's incredible at golf, but he's just a baby for a dude that has an incredible life and gets to do amazing things for a job. He's just kind of angry.
The dude has
he's just an angry man.
The dude has done a John Cena turn heel on the golf world. I'd been a pretty big Rory fan for a while, not the person but the golfer. And I'd been rooting for him to win the Masters for the longest time because his longevity's crazy. He's still one of the best golfers in the world. I mean, he's world number 2. And when he won it, I was fully happy for him. But then as soon as he finished winning the Masters, I mean, this dude just became the worst human being I'd ever seen. To the other golfers around him, to golf fans, to the media, to anybody that's around. I don't know what's really going on at home with Rory. Maybe that's something, but, it is bad.
It is. And he'd probably be like, well, people ask me my opinion on things. I'm going to say, yeah, being outspoken's okay, but he'll toss clubs. He'll act like a baby on the course when things don't go his way. Then he'll get into it with the fans, and then he's always quick to point the finger at everybody else's fault but his own. It's the PGA's fault for this. It's Liv's fault for that. It's the fans' faults for that. Rory, you're just an entitled baby, ultimately, is what it comes down to. 502-414-1450 is the Game Day Men's Health text line. And I think Rory, he does look good. I'll give him that. He cries and he whines, but he's in good shape. But even he could benefit from some testosterone. Game Day Men's Health, the redefining men's wellness. No shortcuts, just results. Testosterone, peptides, weight loss, sexual performance therapy. You can visit GameDayMen'sHealth.com. They're defining a new era in men's health. That TikTok you sent over, can we play it on air or no?
I don't think so. I think it cusses in it. But it was just relating to what you were talking about, the etiquette. So we can look at it and maybe we can play it afterward.
Scooch says, for what it's worth, I was way more against Morikawa than JT, and JT's form going into this year's was better than past Ryder Cup. I was ultimately okay with JT, but Morikawa and Cantlay, no thanks. All right, that's a more reasonable take, because I was going to say JT, he was in a good spot going into the Ryder Cup this year. He had a good year. He had a good year of golf. Wasn't amazing, wasn't his best year of golf, but it seemed like he was trending the wrong way for a year or two, and I think this was a stop the bleeding type of year, a little bit. And maybe he'll get back to more winning on a big time. But I won't want that. JT, he's locked in for the Ryder Cup in 2027. And unless he just goes there and totally poops the bed, I probably would want him there in 2029. He's a good golfer. So ultimately, first and foremost, good golfer. 2, he just seems like a good teammate for a Ryder Cup setting. He knows what it means. He appreciates what it means. Most of the golfers do, so that's not a huge. But he talks the talk. And then he goes out on the course and he walks the walk. And I can appreciate that from Justin Thomas. 502-414-1450, the Game Day Men's Health text line. We'll maybe read a couple texts here, and then we will end hour number 1. We've got a lot more to get to in hour number 2. Just a little preview of those things in hour number 2. Producer Matt, it's getting sad with Mark Stoops, unfortunately. We are well into apathy. People don't care. There were supposedly just 2 callers into his post-game show last night. In years past, this would be like UK athletics, red flag. We need Curtis Birch and we need all of our producers to screen these phone calls, make sure no tricksters are getting in here, make sure nobody's being funny on the phone lines with Coach Stoops. They're not even doing that anymore. They don't even have to worry about screening phone calls because they're just not even getting phone calls.
I asked that question on just the Cats this morning because Michael brought up the same thing, and I asked him like, did they only get 2 callers because nobody was calling, or because they had to screen so many that they couldn't feed any through?
It's the same though either way, right?
Yeah, it's the same, but
they only got, I think, 2 callers through. Yeah, Jeff Drummond said maybe 2. That's not good.
It's not a good look.
The fans didn't. The fan did not sound angry either. Just like, this is where we're at, and it's not going to get any better. And sadly, with the blowout loss to South Carolina, like, even if you did steal a win, let's say if you stole the Tennessee win, that in its own right, I don't think jump starts things. If you would have beaten Ole Miss and you had been 3-0 going into the South Carolina game, there could have been some juice that really could have turned things around. That didn't happen. You blew a double-digit lead to Ole Miss. Then you get blown out by South Carolina. And now you're probably like 2 wins away from getting back on track, realistically. We'll talk more about that and plenty more in your text into the show. Hour number 2 of Kentucky Roll Call. Producer Matt Childers and TJ Walker back after this.
We decide it is.
With Walker and Roush.
We're just getting started, bro.
Welcome back. Hour number 2. Playoff day. Baseball. October. It's here. Tomorrow. Sounds like a terrible phrase for like a bad corporation. Playoff baseball's here. Tomorrow. And today. But October's here tomorrow. Today is September 30th. This is hour number 2 of Kentucky Roll Call on Big X Sports Radio. TJ Walker and producer Matt, we'd love for you to get in touch with the show, the Game Day Men's Health text line, 502-414-1450. Producer Matt, I did watch the video you sent me. It was very accurate to what the Europeans are doing. We cannot play it on the air, unfortunately, because of the words in the video. But it's very much, you say one thing, and then you go and you do something completely different. And I'm not a big fan of Rory and the other Europeans that were doing it, but Rory certainly the poster child for whiny and crybaby behavior. 502-414-1450, Game Day Men's Health text line. All right, there's a lot to get to on today's show. I briefly talked a little bit about Mark Stoops yesterday. Not much news on the coach's show. Not much news on the luncheon. This is
No surprise.
not good. Just not good, producer Matt. This is not where you want to be only 4 games into the season. UK fans just don't care. And I hate this. I hate this as somebody that does radio. I hate this as a fan. I hate this as somebody that just 2 years ago, it was legitimate statue talk. And he was the winningest UK football coach of all time. And now you just can't wait for something different. And this was the year that, like, all right, things are down and things are bad, but you had been very consistent. You hadn't really taken any major steps backwards. That did happen in 2024, but we'll give you the benefit of the doubt in 2025. We want everything just to be a little bit better. The offseason was debatably worse. You lost your good players. The players that you brought in, we eventually came around on, but it wasn't like a major splash. Then you lose the little pup, Clifford, to Louisville, which was just weird. I don't think that loss in itself was going to take the program back to the dark ages, but it was just weird. Your best friend, your Youngstown guy, not only is he leaving, he's leaving, and there's a little bit of controversy behind it, and he's going to your biggest rival just down the road. All the warning signs were there. They had been there. Last year was the payoff pitch. Last year was the 3-2 count, and Mark Stoops pitched it out of the stadium. It was hard to believe how bad of a pitch it was. The umpire didn't even know where he was aiming. You had a 5-star quarterback retire from the sport because things were so bad. That's how bad the payoff pitch was. But you had Deion Walker, who was projected to be a first-rounder at different times. You had Barry Brown. You had a wide receiving room that in the summer of 2024, it was worth debating if it was the best wide receiver room that UK had had in over 15 years. And it still debatably was, sadly. There's a chance that is still accurate. Last year needed to be good. It was the worst season. Mark Stoops, when you factor everything in, it was the worst season he's ever had. When you weigh expectations versus talent versus schedule, last year was the worst year that he had ever had. And UK, and I was done with him after the Louisville game. Truthfully, when he wanted to leave and go to A&M, I really wanted him to go then. And then after that, everything was just awkward. But that's where the program stopped. That's the end life of the Mark Stoops era at UK football. If you on the tombstone, if you wanted to be accurate of when it really ended, there's going to be another death date of when he's fired or let go or moves on or however it all ends. That date is going to say something different, but the real date was when he won the Governor's Cup against U of L in 2023, accepted the A&M job. That's when it was all over. And when A&M had to come back to Stoops and say, actually, our fans don't want you. And he said, uh-oh. So I'm back to where I've been. I'm just right here again. I go back to the office on Monday. He was done at that point. And it's really, like you can blame him, and I certainly do blame him, producer Matt, but we've all been there in something in life where you get excited about something. You start dreaming about something. You start seeing things one way. And then you snap your finger and you realize, oh, no, it's not happening that way. You get broken up with. You get fired from a job. You don't get accepted to the school you wanted to get into. And you were picturing things one way. It goes another way. And it's totally understandable to get in a funk from something like that. Mark Stoops got in a terrible funk when A&M had to reach back out to him and say, just kidding. We don't have a job to offer you. I'm sorry. He was done just coaching after that. He was just done. He had a great roster returning, a manageable schedule. You get blown out at home by South Carolina, which is just such a trend, unfortunately. And then you still steal a game against Ole Miss, and you're like, all right, hold on. We're back on track again. Just, come on, stick with it. Be hungry. Be motivated. There's the word. And it's just been a slow drip. And we're all done with it, and we're all sick of it. And I can't do this monologue every day, all through October and all through November and all through December. But I probably do still have at least a few more in me. I can do this a few more times. I can't do it every day, producer Matt, but I can come on here every day. Well, for a few more times. I can just remind you all how bad things are for UK football right now. How there's no evidence it's going to get better with Mark Stoops being the coach. And we are stuck until the powers that be help us out of this misery. But he's done. He's just done. And you can hear it in his voice. You can hear it. At 680, they've got a promo for the postgame show on Saturday, which we'll be getting on around 3:30. Join us after the Georgia game. It's going to be a blast. I can't wait. And they're hyping up the postgame show. They want people to listen to. Weird concept. And they have like a Mark Stoops quote. We got to get back to executing. We got to get back to more it's just like you could take an audio clip from a 2016 loss and you could insert it in to what's going to happen on Saturday in Athens. And you could say, is this post-game press conference from Stoops from 3 years ago a random loss, or is it from now? And you probably wouldn't be able to tell the difference because it's just the same old, same old. He doesn't have a plan. He doesn't have an idea. The talent's not there. And now the locker room's starting to, I think, fall apart. A blowout loss to Georgia, which is what is predicted. It can get uglier, and I think it may get uglier. And that's concerning.
I think Scoots gave me a stat before we start Kentucky Roll Call that I think Georgia, he said that Georgia's like 0-16 against the spread in games where they're like at home and the spread is like more than 20 points. So Kentucky spread might be some juice for you.
Oh, there you go. I wouldn't be shocked if UK covers just because Georgia, Kirby and Stoops, they play kind of like a little footsie, funsy. Georgia, you're going to win, and it's not going to necessarily come down to the final play, but you don't embarrass me either, so everybody's kind of feeling good about it. So I wouldn't be shocked if Kentucky covered. I would be shocked if Kentucky has a chance to win the game in the fourth quarter. And that's another thing Stoops had been pretty good at. Was the old UK football was it's going to be another blowout. To Stoops, actually, like you went into games, maybe not thinking you were going to win, but listen, it's going to be competitive. We ain't going to get smoked. Well, guess right back to where we are, producer Matt. We're back to thinking we're getting smoked. The more things change, the more they stay the same. Time is a flat circle. Has anybody ever told you that, producer Matt?
It has. They have. They've told me that before.
And there's no better evidence that time is a flat circle than Monopoly returning to McDonald's. How about that?
You sent me this, and I honestly forgot this was even a thing.
Oh, no.
In terms of, like, I remember as a kid, like making my mom go get a McDonald's. Like this was my introduction to gambling.
Yeah. Well, I was Catholic. I think it was the gerbil races. We had some pet gerbils as a kid, and we would set up an obstacle course and make them race against each other, and we'd bet Monopoly money. So that was probably my introduction into gambling as a 6-year-old, the gerbil races. However, this was up there too. This, like in terms of like big stake prizes, this was definitely my introduction into the rigged game.
This was one of those things. Like, do you remember when? I mean, you were obviously older, but it was when I was a kid. I think it was Disney Channel did the Danimal sweepstakes. Where you got to meet Cole Sprouse and Dylan Sprouse. Like this is like that same thing for me. Like, did anybody ever actually win the Monopoly stuff?
Who's Dylan? Dylan who?
You don't know who Dylan Sprouse is?
No, who's Dylan Sprouse?
The Sweet Life of Zach and Cody?
Oh, he's one of the Sweet Life with Zach and Cody.
Yeah, the twins. Yeah, it's them. So like on Nickelodeon or Disney Channel as a kid, Danimals, those little yogurt drinks or whatever.
Uh-huh.
So they did every single year. They did a sweepstakes because that was the most popular show where you got to go and like have lunch with them or whatever. But like they just stopped one day and nobody ever announced if anybody ever actually won it. And so that's how I feel about the Monopoly thing. I don't ever remember hearing anybody win the Monopoly stuff.
Well, you know why?
No.
It was a huge scandal. It was corruption. It wasn't real. There was nothing to win.
Oh, I didn't know that.
There was a documentary on it.
Oh, I did watch it. I was like 10.
There were some like grand prize winners, but they all got traced back to like family members of people who set up the game.
Oh, that's fun.
It was one of the biggest corporate promotion scandals in all of history. So it was fake. You were like, did we ever get a settlement from that? Because, dude, I ate a lot of McDonald's. I played the Monopoly game a lot. And our high school and college friends, that was that was actually an enjoyable bonding experience. Just getting that Monopoly board on our little TV, on our little kitchen table. I should say the coffee table in the living room. Having it spread out, and then just people throughout the week, like you were an 18 or 19-year-old, so you went to McDonald's pretty frequently, admittedly, in college because it was cheap. And they'd come back and be like, all right, I got that one. I can add that one to the sheet. Okay, I can add that one to. All right, we've already got 16 of these, so we don't need another one of those. It was fun. Like, it was really enjoyable doing that.
So there was no settlement, but a man by the name of Jerome Jacobson was a security official at the promotion company, Simon Marketing, who was the ringleader of the scheme. And they ended up having to pay out $24 million to
me?
Rigged prize winners. Whoever rigged prize winners are. And they lost $24 million, yeah, blah, blah, blah. They also had to donate $1 million to St. Jude Children's Hospital.
Okay, well,
so there wasn't a settlement, but they had to pay somebody something.
Listen, I'm pro children's hospitals, always have been, always will be. But like, who decided on that?
I have no idea. This is like the littlest amount of information I've ever seen looking something like this up.
Jerome Jacobson pleaded guilty, sentenced to 3 years in federal prison. Dozens of winners also faced charges. Some claim they were manipulated into it, but others said that they knew it was a scam. McDonald's was embarrassed and emphasized they were victims and handed out millions in extra prize money to rebuild trust.
So this is the third time they brought this back.
So the FBI posed as a fake documentary crew. And that became the centerpiece of HBO's McMillion docuseries.
Because I didn't know this was back in like 2001.
That's crazy.
I remember growing up with this as a kid. So it's been brought back twice now.
Yeah, but,
that makes sense.
There's always been corruption with it.
That makes sense.
But it's back now. And you're right. It was like the initial time that they did it that it was the most corrupt. So I think they have had successful games since then.
So is Jerome Jacobson the true Hamburglar?
That's a good point. I think he is the definition of an actual Hamburglar. But I just love that you'd always get the same pieces. I'd have so many New York avenues be like, all right, I can't get any more of these. What is going on? But then we'd have like a college friend, producer Matt, that'd be like, all right, I've got to go visit family in Arizona. And we'd be like, all right, well, you got to go to McDonald's there. because you're going to get a whole different like region of game pieces, and they don't want people to regionally connect with one another.
It's like the chocolate factory.
You would think in this day and age, though, I'm sure they have figured all this stuff out, McDonald's and Monopoly, and however they're going to do this game. But you would think that like it'd be easy to just make a network of like, all right, you all, let's make a Reddit page, and let's just fill out this board, and we'll split all the prizes. Because I think the old way you used to play, you could theoretically fill out your board, and you'd be eligible for like all the prizes. That just seems like it'd be easy to do nowadays with how connected everybody is.
Yeah.
So I'm sure they have it set up a different way where it's not just you have to complete the board necessarily.
It's going to come down to like you have to have your account in an app, and you have to like sync. You have to like scan the things you peel off, and it saves it to your own account or something like that.
They are doing a virtual like app version of the Monopoly game. They are going to have legitimate peel on the packaging, but they're also going to have digital peel, which the digital peel is just going to be annoying. McDonald's, just so you know, nobody's going to care or want to do the digital peel. We want the real stickers. We want to put them on a thing. We want to see that we got a free McFlurry or something like that. It's that simple. All right? So don't blow it. And just, we don't need to make this hard. You don't need to be giving away millions of dollars. Have like 1 in 5 people win a free entree at McDonald's. Like, let it actually be accessible, winnable, and something that they can just turn right back around and be like, all right, here, I got this little thing for a free burger. Thank you. It's not hard. Do the right thing here, McDonald's, and give away a bunch of free food. But I'm excited about it. Were you do you like playing the game Monopoly?
Yeah, I did. My family was one of those families that like collected the Monopoly boards.
Oh, from like all the different fun types. What piece do you like?
I always use the car.
Yeah, you would be a car.
I was a car guy.
I like the boat. The boat or the top hat would usually be my main two.
I was more of a Trivial Pursuit kid, though.
That's good. Trivial Pursuit's a fun game. It's better than Monopoly. I'll give you that. The Monopoly pieces supposedly are random things because they wanted to just resemble random things. Because I guess when they initially played the game, it was like, all right, just go get something from the house. This is your piece.
Yeah, that's your piece.
That's your piece. So you just put whatever you would, and then eventually they made them the actual pieces.
Do you think we'll ever see another Pepsi Jet?
A Pepsi Jet?
Do you know what I'm talking about? The man who won the jet from Pepsi?
Oh, no. I'm not overly familiar with it besides just reading a headline about it. Pepsi has had some terrible promotions. They actually probably are worse than McDonald's in terms of promotional disasters. But what was the story behind the jet?
You had to get, so they advertised it fully that, you know, all the prizes if you collected your little bottle caps and Pepsi points or whatever. And for 7 million Pepsi points, you could get a Harrier fighter jet. And a man collected it, and he turned them in. They were like, oh, no, you know, we don't have that for you. So he sued them. And now he has a jet. And there's a documentary about it on Netflix, apparently, called Pepsi, Where's My Jet?
Well, that's fascinating.
Yeah, John Leonard, a business student, realized the jet was worth significantly more than the cost of 7 million Pepsi points and found a legal way to purchase the points at 10 cents each, costing him around $700,000. So he basically spent all this money to buy all these Pepsis so he could get the jet and then, like, sell the jet.
I'm seeing that he never got any sort of jet. He lost in court.
Maybe I had it wrong. Maybe I had it backwards.
And he never got any jet.
Oh, that's unfortunate.
The summary that I'm receiving is that a college student tried to call Pepsi's bluff on a TV ad that jokingly offered a Harrier jet for 7 million Pepsi points. He raised the money, demanded the jet, sued when they said no, and lost in court because the ad wasn't considered a real offer.
Oh, well, that's a scam. That's a scam.
The story became a classic example in contract law classes about offers versus jokes.
Well, that's legally false advertising, right?
Well, they went to court over this, producer Matt, and the guy did not.
That's crazy. I actually thought he got. I thought I read somewhere he got it. I'm wrong. That's on me.
And then there's another one where Pepsi basically started a coup. Did you see that?
No, I didn't see that.
Yeah, that one wasn't good either from Pepsi. Pepsi really dropped the ball on that marketing stunt. But they went to Chile, and Basically, they were a part of a coup.
Have you seen the guy who got the radio station ID tattooed on his forehead for $250,000?
I did not see that.
It's the exact same thing as the Pepsi thing, where like he was listening to apparently KRUD, crud, and they were like, they did a joke.
We did, yeah.
They did a joke, and they were like, if you get it tattooed on us, we'll give you this much money. And they didn't give it to him. They listed it as an elaborate April Fool's prank.
Yeah.
But he ended up getting $510,000 in a court ruling for pain, suffering, and medical costs. So he actually made money more than what he'd gotten.
It all worked out for the crud guy. All right, well, if you've got any marketing disasters, 502-414-1450, the Game Day Men's Health text line. But I'm excited to have Monopoly back. I don't eat McDonald's hardly ever, but maybe I will. I'll frequent it more if I can just have a chance to get something free.
You get that little taste.
It's all that it really takes in today's society. All right, a couple other quick hitters that I had written down on today's show. Producer Matt, they made the announcement during halftime of Sunday Night Football for the Super Bowl halftime show. We're a day late on it, but we had a pretty busy show yesterday. Bad Bunny. Are you a Bad Bunny fan?
I'm not, but my girlfriend's a big Bad Bunny fan.
Okay.
He has good music. I just don't listen to him.
I don't really. I guess I'm just not familiar enough with Bad Bunny's music to have a take one way or another.
So he's like the Hispanic Drake. That's how popular he is.
Yes. Okay. I'm sure it'll be a fine show. It doesn't move the needle for me. We had been told that it was going to be Taylor Swift. There were a lot of Easter eggs suggesting that it was going to be Taylor Swift. She was even hinting at it and playing along with it. I do wonder if her engagement could have potentially changed things for her. Whereas, all right, instead of planning for a Super Bowl show, now I need to plan for a wedding. That's probably more important. But she was, playing along with people saying that it was going to be her. Instead, it's Bad Bunny, which is a guy, a Hispanic guy. And people are worked up about it because that's just what you do. I do think the Super Bowl is... I think it's time to throw it back to the olds, though. I think it's time for the olds to have a good Super Bowl performer. And Bad Bunny's not going to check the box for the older generation.
Look, for me, this makes so much sense. To me, all the people on the internet who are, complaining because they don't know who he is or this and that, Roger Goodell has come out hundreds of times at this point. All he's stressing is, spreading American football across the planet. Putting teams in Europe, putting teams here and there, we have games in Mexico. We have games in all over Europe. We have games in Canada. We have all this stuff. It was almost inevitable that at some point we were going to have a seriously famous artist from another culture, another country perform at the Super Bowl. And if you're going to do that, to me, Bad Bunny makes sense. I mean, the dude is huge everywhere else in the world. He's massive. So, I'm not. I have no complaints about it.
All right, excuse my naivety, but does he sing his songs in English?
No.
Okay, so that's disqualifying to me almost immediately.
Really?
Yeah, and that people may say different languages, you should accept them and be inclusive. It is American football. It is the Super Bowl. It is our one thing that we do pretty well, and I get it. Not everybody in America speaks English. But maybe we have the halftime show be predominantly English. With some Spanish and some other languages, that could be fun. But the majority of his songs are in Spanish?
They're all in Spanish.
They're all in. Okay, so does he sing anything in English?
No.
So the halftime show will be a Spanish-speaking halftime show?
Yes, it will be a Spanish-speaking halftime show.
Yeah, okay, so that's that's ridiculous. That's ridiculous.
See, I don't mind it. Now, like I said, I'm a part of the other side that I've listened to a decent amount of his music because my girlfriend listens to it. So I actually kind of like it. It sounds good. I don't know what he's saying, but it sounds good. And
I just can't imagine for Premier League they don't do a tournament. Obviously, it's just whoever's top of the table. But imagine if they did Champions League final, and you have a South Korean K-pop star doing the halftime show.
Would not surprise me.
That would just be
would not
crazy to me. I'm getting a little more worked up about it.
TJ, at Dodgers games, they have anime girls on the TV singing the national anthem.
Are they singing it in English?
Barely.
I'm all right with other cultures. That's what makes America so great. But we can have the Super Bowl halftime show in English. I bet most of it will be in English. I bet Bad Bunny will make some exceptions.
You wanna make a bet?
Yes.
I will bet you that it is not.
Right.
There's nothing in English at all.
September 30th today. I will bet you.
I'll get you a beer.
Okay, that sounds great. We'll do a beer lunch bet on if the halftime show features any English. I mean, it certainly will. They're going to have other people pop up. They're not going to all be speaking Spanish.
The Bad Bunny, like when Bad Bunny is up there, it will not be in English.
Okay. All right. Well, we've got several months to marinate on this bet. Bad Bunny's been in a halftime show before, a Super Bowl halftime show before. Did you know that?
I did not know that.
2020, which is really the last time that you can. Well, I guess this is somewhat debatable. All right, here's the last few halftime shows because they all do run together. We'll have Bad Bunny this upcoming winter. 2025 was Kendrick Lamar, which I thought was pretty good. 2024 was Usher. Maybe this was like their way of throwing it back, like a Throwback Thursday Super Bowl show, if you will.
Wasn't my favorite.
Usher, Alicia Keys, Jermaine Dupri, will.i.am, Lil Jon, Ludacris. See, that one was more built for like my generation. I like that one. You had Rihanna in 2023, Eminem, Dr. Dre, Snoop Dogg, Kendrick Lamar, Mary J. Blige in 2022.
That one was okay.
Maybe that was also a throwback to an older generation. The Weeknd in 21, Shakira, Jennifer Lopez, Bad Bunny in 2020, Maroon 5 in 2019, Justin Timberlake in 2018, Lady Gaga in 17, Coldplay in 16. When was the last, like, hey, John Spears, this one's for you, buddy?
I mean, they're just looking to make money, and, those people make money. Like, how many more times do we got to have, like, the Rolling Stones out there?
Okay, when's the last time the Rolling Stones have been out there?
Exactly. I mean, what are they, like 90?
Madonna, I think, is the last Super Bowl halftime show that was catered to John Spears, and that was 2012. All right? But in 2009, you had Bruce Springsteen. 2008, you had Tom Petty. 2007, you had Prince. 2006, you had the Rolling Stones, Paul McCartney. Like, I get it. Time moves on and people get older. But we've really gone young.
We got to let it go, TJ. We got to move on. We're a progressive country.
You're thinking about a Frozen soundtrack. I could be okay. I could get on board with a Frozen soundtrack. Let it go. Show yourself. Some of the classics from Princess or Queen Elsa.
I think it's a great idea. I think we should just do Disney on Ice at halftime.
A Disney on Ice halftime show. I'd be all for it. It'd still be better than Jack Harlow's Thanksgiving Day performance in Detroit 3 years ago.
I felt so bad for him.
That was so awkward.
There was just no money put into that at all.
No, and it looked like really no plan. It was like, all right, we'll do an igloo and then just walk around. And rapping's hard enough to do live and look cool doing it as is, and they just totally left him out there on an island to dry. But I'm just a little surprised that we're not getting, like, what would a Darius Rucker halftime show? Who says no to that? I didn't hear any no's. I didn't hear any no's.
I don't hear any yeses, TJ.
What about the Beach Boys? Can we get the Beach Boys one more time?
Come on.
And you get Uncle Jesse up there? What about Diana Ross? Would you want a little Diana Ross?
Are you just trying to make really bad takes right now? Like,
Beach Boys would put on a great halftime show.
I see you sweating on the camera over there, TJ. I know your Twitter fingers are going crazy right now.
Would you want Elton John? One final, third final, 16th final farewell tour?
No, I don't.
Okay.
I don't need it.
All right. Well, let's take one final farewell break. We'll come back, get you your text onto the Game Day Men's Health text line. And what else do I have for us today?
Here's your throwback for you. This is who should be the halftime show.
I'd be okay with that. We need to talk about Paul Feinbaum running for Senate. It's just the dumbest thing in the world. All right, we'll come back to all this. This is Kentucky Roll Call on Big X Sports Radio.
Bogarts, 2-0 Red Sox. He hit it about 4 rows up into the center field seats. A straight line from home plate out there.
Welcome back. Getting you ready for October. MLB postseason is here, and any lifelong Kentucky Roll Call listener knows nobody covers Major League Baseball better than KRC here on the Big X. 502-414-1450, the Game Day Men's Health text line. Nobody covers Mexican food in this town better than Salsaritas. 3 locations in the area: Middletown, St. Matthews, and out there in Shepherdsville in Bullitt County, right off I-65. Download that Salsaritas app. It'll save you time. It will certainly save you money. You build up points, you get rewards, and you can do all their catering. So if you're heading out to a high school football game this weekend, a college football game, just going doing some pumpkin picking or something along those lines, and you just want some Salsaritas with you. No party too big or too small for your catering. Salsaritas, I know so many friends and family members that have taken them up on their catering, and everybody's blown away. They give you more wildly addictive chips than you know what to do with. It's affordable. You know exactly how much you're getting. They can bring it to you. It can be waiting for you at the store. Whatever's most convenient, that's what Salsaritas is about. That's why we love them. We love the Game Day Men's Health text line as well, 502-414-1450. Game Day Men's Health, they will get you feeling right. Peptides, very popular nowadays. Paul Feinbaum, running for government, running for Senate. That's really popular. And he's the latest to throw in his hat into the ring. Producer Matt, are you ready for a Paul Feinbaum versus Bruce Pearl primary for the Republican Senate seat that's being vacated by Tommy Tuberville? What a weird word grab.
I genuinely am concerned for anybody that still is out there listening to Paul Feinbaum, and the thought of the fact that all of the citizens in the great state of Alabama might have to listen to him for the foreseeable future is terrifying. So no, I'm not ready for this well drawn out battle for the Senate.
I'm not a Paul Feinbaum listener. I'm not. I've never heard him make a good point, though. His entire show is just phone call. And I know that's not the entirety of his show. But he basically is just a moderator as a host. He's not even so much of a takey type of guy. And you see, it seems like you got a pretty good thing going, Paul. I don't know if you'd want to get into the weeds with all this. I think people just get bored, Producer Matt. And they want to try the next thing.
I mean, you do the same thing for so long, and like I feel like the not really liking of Paul Feinbaum is kind of a popular opinion at this point. So maybe he's just done with the sports commentary. Maybe Lane Kiffin himself ran him out of it.
That could be it too. It's just I've been doing this thing for so long, I'm ready just to try something else. But that's in the news. He did an exclusive interview with Outkick. He may run for senator. Which is something. A texter on the Game Day Men's Health text line says, was the coworker rankings a joke? Well, I haven't given them out yet, Producer Matt.
Yeah, you just teased him a little bit.
I've worked with a lot of people. People forget that. And I can't include current coworkers. So I couldn't rank Scoots. I couldn't rank Mike Rutherford. I obviously Roman. He wouldn't make it anyways. I'm kidding. I love Roman. My top 5, are we being genuine or am I being funny? That's another question. Derek Terry's in there. Roush is in there. Trevor Kelsey's in there. Jeff Milby? Jeff Milby, who I called Louisville City games with. He was great. Big fan of Jeff Milby. And then Alan Cutler, when he worked at radio for 2 days at Big X Sports Radio, those 2 days. So that's my top 5 in some order. But that's leaving out a lot of really good people. I feel bad about that. A lot of really good people at Cats Illustrated, KSR. Many good radio people. Old Stuart Hammer, that's leaving him out of there. I've worked with a lot of people, producer Matt. And maybe someday
around town.
Maybe you'll work. Maybe you'll be in that top 5 whenever our paths cross.
You know what, TJ?
Or part, I should say.
When I'm laying my head down on that pillow at night, that's what I'm dreaming of every time.
Making that top 5?
Making that top 5.
All right. Well, you just got to believe, first and foremost. And then secondly, you have to eventually be an ex-coworker. So
yes, I will.
That's going to probably be the bigger one.
I'll move on. I'll work at ESPN or something. They're like, what was your defining moment? I was like, when TJ put me in the top 5.
That's true. Kirby Smart's telling UK fans they need to be grateful for Mark Stoops' accomplishments in Lexington. Hey, folks. Kirby Smart's giving us the Mark Fox, John Calipari treatment, and I'm not going to stand for it. I'm just not going to stand for it. John Calipari, every time he'd play and beat Georgia's ass in basketball when he was at UK, Travis Leslie would get some dunks in on us. He would, but they'd lose the games. Trey Mann was good too. And John Calipari would go into the Athens post-game press conference, and he'd look at those Georgia media members right in the eye and say, you all have got a great coach here. He's going to get this right. He is doing a lot of great things. And these Georgia fans would be like, man, John Calipari's a Hall of Fame head coach. He's smart, and he knows how to win, but what does he see in Georgia basketball that we just don't see? Because Georgia's not winning, and he's telling us every year that they've got the right guy. And it didn't take a rocket surgeon to put 2 and 2 together and realize, oh, he's just saying nice things about him because he likes him, and he beats him literally every single year. It's a free win on the schedule. Mark Stoops, that's what you are to Kirby Smart. You're a good guy that he likes personally, but the thing he likes most about you is that he beats that ass every single year, and he doesn't have to worry about you. So please do not patronize UK fans on what we need to be grateful for or about. We just are so sick of losing seasons. Yeah, but he hadn't done a lot of that. All right, but now it's starting to seem like he's going to do a lot more of them. So if we could just kind of stop that, we're just going to stop that escalator and walk down, go backwards, and try to start over. Yes, the wins were fun. There's no evidence that there's going to be more fun in the future. So thanks, Kirby. Appreciate your opinion, but we can think on our own on this one, okay? A texter on the Game Day Men's Health text line was I read that one about the coworkers. What do we think about Deputy Doofus's latest? Did you see this, producer Matt?
I didn't, but I'm going to Twitter right now to try and find it.
Deputy Doofus quote tweeted Seth McGowan drilling Lenore Sellers' elderly grandfather with a football and said, wait, the running back that threw the ball into the South Carolina's section is the same guy who got kicked off Oklahoma and did 3 months in jail for robbing people? Along with the sexual assault running back, this is Mark Stoops' Rembrandt backfield. Does he ever just not get tired? It has to be so draining for him to be so consistently bad at the rivalry. Go ahead, producer Matt. Sorry.
I was just going to say, in all honesty, like, he's not really a dude that, like, I listen to. But
I've said this for years. He's making the U of L fan base worse. If this is a mouthpiece, like, just Rutherford is so day and night different than him. And when Rutherford throws a rivalry, it's usually good. He'll have some misses here and there. And I'll have some misses. That's the name of the game. But that's just such a weird rivalry angle. Oh, the running back that accidentally threw a football in celebration, he previously did bad things? And another football player on a team of 100 dudes also got in trouble? I'm not even sure the angle he's trying to picture there. That, like, these people are not good people because of what they've done. Maybe they're not. But I don't know if I need Deputy Doofus to be the one to tell me it. I would, and I quite literally mean this, I would disconnect from all social media. I would never talk sports another day in my life if it was presented to me that I was trying to disparage the character of student athletes on a rival team. Like, if that was my end game, I would just have to hang it up at some point. That's so miserable to have to constantly keep up with what's the rival team doing and let me be the judge of their character. Let alone the self-infliction, the stuff you've got going on inside, to think that that's a valuable use of your time. But it's not funny, and it's not even a good it's just not a good rivalry shtick. Like, if you want to make fun of Kentucky football right now, goodness gracious, is there content? Is there a way to do it? But because a player threw a ball into the stands, and he previously had some issues at Oklahoma that got cleared up, and he did his time for that stuff, or he went through the process with it, and it's a redemption story. But because he threw the football, what are you trying to say? And then you start to kind of tiptoe down the line of what maybe he's really trying to say. And then it gets really weird with old Deputy Doofus. But I don't even want to go down that angle because that's not fun. But if you're a U of L fan and you listen to the Kentucky Roll Call, don't let that dude be your mouthpiece. He's only going to lead you down a road of embarrassment. Texter says, false. John Spears was glued to his TV during the Shakira and Jennifer Lopez halftime show. Jennifer Lopez. That was for everyone in John's demographic, and that's from Mook. Mook, that's a good point. That's a good point. That one was for Spears.
I think Shakira was for everyone's demographic, in my opinion. Them hips do not lie.
They haven't told the truth in many years, unfortunately, producer Matt. TJ said, you ate a lot of McDonald's, huh? So did you not consume one fast food cheeseburger in college? Get out the gotcha girls, ladies and gentlemen. We got them. That's from Mook. It's funny you brought this up, Mook, because I was actually talking about this with the wife not too long ago. It is certainly possible at some point in my life as like a 3 or 4 or 5-year-old, my parents gave me a Happy Meal, and it may have included like a little cheeseburger, a little McHappy Meal, a little McHappy Burger. It's not impossible. I don't have a memory of such. I don't believe there's a picture of me eating a fast food hamburger. But what I can say definitively, Mook, is that in college I never did that. They would always put them on the fries, the Monopoly game pieces, so I'd always get the big old thing of fries. They'd usually put it either on a big old soft drink or especially the McFlurry. So that would be my way to go about it. And then way back in the day, I swear I think they used to put them on hash browns. And we were a McDonald's breakfast family growing up. And I think they even way back in the day also put them on the cinnamon rolls, which McDonald's used to have the bomb.com cinnamon rolls. I don't think they still do anymore. I think they briefly brought them back for like a year.
I think they came back for a little bit.
And then they're gone again. But they used to be really, really good back in the day. But no, I did not eat a fast food cheeseburger in college, post-college, high school. If it ever happened, it was pre-Patino's championship at UK. A texter on the Game Day Men's Health text line. Good to hear from you, Mook. Hope everything's going well in Mookland. 22 was the best one. 22 halftime Super Bowl show. Is that what they're alluding to?
Yeah, I think that's what they're talking about.
Who was that one? Let me get it pulled back up here. Was that the Shakira one? 22.
Oh, Dr. Dre, Snoop Dogg, Eminem, Mary J. Blige, Kendrick Lamar.
Yeah, that was a fun one. That was a good one. But I do, like, and here I was ripping the halftime Super Bowl show, but mainly because, like, you got to do some performances in English. And they will, and you're going to owe me a beer because of it, producer Matt. But it really is impossible to check every box. You got to think about it. I mean, there are 7-year-olds that dream, eat, breathe football. when I was 9, it was just like you couldn't watch SportsCenter enough on Sundays to consume all the football that you could. So there are kids out there that were born just around the pandemic that are NFL obsessed, and they're excited about the Super Bowl, probably a little before the pandemic. And then you have, literal 80-year-olds that are still working in the industry that love NFL football. There is no possible way you can get a show that's going to touch on all generations that everybody's going to be happy about. But I do think Bad Bunny is a pretty specific group that you are targeting. And I do think you are excluding a large chunk of your audience. Maybe you could make a case that you're doing that frequently with halftime Super Bowl shows. I don't know. But I don't really even know who Bad Bunny is. I did not know that he didn't do any of his songs. Why does your girlfriend like him if he doesn't sing in English?
Well, she's Peruvian.
Oh, okay. Of course, you're dating the Peruvian.
What does that mean?
Of course, that's like the situation is that she doesn't need to worry about if she can't understand the language because she does understand the language. So of course that's the angle there. That's funny to me.
Well, it's also being played in California, which has a pretty hefty Hispanic, citizenship. So that doesn't surprise me.
Again, yeah, sure, all good things. I love the Hispanics. I love the Spanish-speaking language. It's the one that I can speak second most. It's a halftime show for America. I guess you could say the world.
The point I was trying to make earlier was that this was going to happen at some point, no matter who likes it or not, because Roger Goodell wants to expand football so badly. So this didn't surprise me at all when it came out.
You're probably right about that. It's probably just a gameplay move, right? It's probably just we're trying to get more eyeballs. That's why we're playing football games in Mexico City and in Brazil and Ireland and all over the world. And you're probably right. I think producer Matt has nailed this one, everybody. Lamar Jackson likely to miss Week 5's game against the Texans with a hamstring injury that he suffered against the Chiefs. That line, I think, opened as a 9.5, 10-point favorite for the Ravens, all the way down to 3, I believe. So they're noticing no Lamar, but there's some news for your NFL Sunday. What's Scoots texting us about?
He was talking about he was confused why he wasn't on the top 5, and he didn't hear that you said previous coworkers.
Yeah, so Scoots, don't worry.
He was getting upset.
Oh, he would have gotten that would have legitimately, he would have been laying in bed tonight being like, dude, why wasn't I in TJ's top 5?
He would have smelled like Fireball on the way in the next day.
It would have been bad. Oh, yeah, health update. We did see a banana in the studio today, so that's good. And then he was telling me about some gross, nasty breakfast food that he's eaten. I tuned out almost 20 seconds into the
rice
story.
Cakes, peanut butter, and bananas.
Yeah. Bananas are good, but the other stuff, goodness gracious. But you know what, Scoots? Whatever keeps you healthy, that's what is most important. We're rooting for you. Yeah, that line, Texans are a 2.5-point favorite on the road in Baltimore with the news of Lamar Jackson. So that's like a 12-point swing on the spread. That's crazy. Just for one player. Has that ever happened in the NFL? Is that the biggest one-player swing in the spread? I can never think of a bigger one.
Gotta be close.
Yeah.
Also, shout out Roman Kelly in the stream, standing.
He is in the stream. It's a little ominous, honestly. Yeah.
The Ashton Genty pose.
Yeah, it really is the Ashton Genty pose. He probably blocks like Ashton Genty, too, I would imagine. A texter says, I thought Bad Bunny was the white girl who raps. I also thought Bad Bunny was a white girl.
Oh, come on.
Who's the bunny girl?
I don't know who the white girl that raps is.
There's a rapper who's a woman, and it's got bunny in the name. Oh, dead fishing me, producer Matt. You're not even in radio long enough to.
I'm looking it up right now. Bad Baby, is that who they're talking about?
Maybe it's Bad Baby. I don't know. I'm with the texter. One of them rings a bell.
That's what I think. I'm guessing that's who they think it is.
A texter says, TJ, I agree with Rory. Rory brings everything on himself. He was walking time bomb personality-wise and a baby. Sad that the next cup is in Ireland, which Rory's fans will probably be worse than the New York fans. Oh, no doubt about it.
Oh, Rory fans will, I don't even want to know what that's going to look like.
Rory is just the little brother. He's the little brother that he plans out these attacks, and then he'll go and he'll like do a sneak attack on Big Bro, like, you know, slap him in the junk or slap him in the face, and then just sprints back to parents, like sprints back to mommy, daddy. That's Rory McIlroy. He tries to talk a good game, tries to be tough, then he'll take a shot, he'll say something ridiculous, and then he'll go and point to a cop and say, hey, get that guy out of here. Get him out of here. And some of the stuff being said at Rory was terrible, but Rory was not this saint that was just having things hurled at him as he was praying next to his ball. John says, all right here, guys. I'm glad MLB postseason's here. My Yankees versus your Red Sox should be a fun series. I forget that John's a Yankee fan. I feel like Aaron Judge will go long tonight, so look at his home run prop bet. It's plus 233, and all he has to do is hit one out of the park. What do you all think? Got to go. Talk to you later.
I mean, that's some juice, but, I mean, Aaron Judge has historically pooped his pants in the playoffs.
I've reached the point of rooting for us to lose. I hope Kirby doesn't do the kid gloves thing. Stomp Stoops' head in. Make him want to quit. Well, I think we're off to a start of some fun between these two. Robert says, I think Bonnie Blue is the female rapper you were talking about. Yeah, that's probably who it was, Robert. Everybody have a great Tuesday. Enjoy the baseball. Right now, the Tigers up 1-0 on the Guardians. We'll be back tomorrow at noon to talk all about it. This is Kentucky Roll Call on Big X Sports Radio.